Hello, 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 welcome, good evening and welcome to Brimwood Farm. We're here for the weekly live chat. It is freezing outside, so I've got the fire going behind me. It's really, really nice and keeping me warm. So we're going to do the general thing where I'm just going to update you on what's been going on this past week. And I'll just give you a few updates, a few notices, and then we'll crack on with just the general answering, questions and answer, and chat. If you're new here, just feel free to ask away. Last week the comments did run away a bit and it took me a bit to catch up with them. So if I don't get to your comment or I miss your comment, just keep asking if it's a question and I will try and get to you. And if you're watching on the replay and you missed the live stream, just hit the little bell notification, and then whenever I do go live, you'll be able to you'll get a little notification on your phone or your tablet or your computer or whatever to say that I am live and you can come and log in on the chat. I think that's all my little notices that I need to give. So the past week was quiet. We didn't do a Monday Magic again because I wasn't feeling very magical, and it's, you know, we've had a bit of the winter blues and it's been awful weather. But we did have a chicken check-in this week. Which is really great. I was so happy. I really want to get that series on the move again. There are still open slots. So if you do want to get involved in Chicken Check-In, then please let me know. Check out the Chicken Check-In playlist so you know what's involved. But it's very simple. You basically just record it on your phone if you haven't got anything else. 3 of your favourite chickens. And send all the details to me. But if you do want to get involved in that, just let me know and we'll sort something out. But this week we went over to E17, which is North London, and we met Ben, who has his rescue hen. So he's got his 3 expats and he's also got 3 broilers that were saved from the market. And I think it was really, really interesting actually to see how his broilers in particular were really badly conditioned when they came to him, because broilers we have bred to the point where they just want to eat and eat and eat and keep going, and so they end up being crippled, they can't carry their own weight, so now he has to keep his chickens on a really, really strict diet just to keep the weight off them. And I did talk a little bit in that Chicken Check-In right at the end about how that's why I am a fan of rare and heritage breeds, because I don't think animals, whether you are vegetarian or not, I'm obviously not, I eat my meat, but I don't think animals should be bred to the point where we are sort of imposing discomfort on them for our convenience and for efficiency standards. I don't think that is good at all. It's a big, big no-no in my books. It's all about the heritage and the rare breeds, and I think many of you also agree with me on that fact. Then on Friday, so yesterday, I did the succulent thing. So actually it was a chat last week. It was the live stream last Saturday, and AJ was saying to me, could you please do a little chat on how you propagate and grow your succulents? So I decided to do one. And the reason I do it is, as I said in that video as well, is, you know, when you have a homestead or a small holding, you need to have a lot of different revenue streams. And certainly in the winter, when the eggs are going down in number, you haven't got so many egg sales on, and especially in an urban plot where you haven't got pregnant sheep and cows and things that you're caring for over the winter, it can be really, really quiet, and there is often not a lot of money coming in. So actually growing a few plants on, especially house plants that you can sell later in the year, gives a little welcome boost. And I do find if I go to a chicken sale and I've got some pullets, you know, I've got my chickens and my quails all laid out for sale, if I have a little stand of plants and some veggies and stuff there as well, people tend to gravitate towards me, and you can always sell people a few plants if they're at the right price. So it all brings in some money, and also it's really, really fun. I am forgetful and I am super busy, so when it comes to succulents, it doesn't matter if you're forgetful, because you can just not water them for a long time and you can almost always bring them back from the brink. So I highly recommend growing succulents a go, because it's so super easy. You don't need rooting powder or anything like that. You just snap off those leaves and put them in. So check out that video if you want. I've also, today I have opened a little Teespring account. So if you've ever wanted to have a hoodie while you're walking around with your chickens that has the Brimwood Farm logo on it, or you want a mug, so you want to watch Brimwood Farm videos and drink from a Brimwood Farm mug, you now can. And I will put the link after this live stream is finished. I'll put the link up here or here. I can't remember which side they appear, but it is also in the description below. And I think the final thing, before I get into kind of the chat and the frequently asked questions and stuff like that, is just to acknowledge that in the UK, if you're a chicken keeper, last week we did talk briefly about the fact that avian flu had been found and they had got a prevention zone down in Dorset. They have now widened that prevention zone to cover the entirety of the UK. Now, prevention zone is not the same as lockdown. So your chickens do not need to be in lockdown as yet. They're still allowed to come out in the open air. But what the prevention zone is basically the government saying, we are now in a prevention zone. You need to prepare for the worst and you need to do all you can to limit the spread and limit the potential risk of your chickens A, getting flu, and if they have got it, B, contaminating other people. So what that basically means is you need to follow biosecurity measures. So you need to feed and water your birds inside where wild birds cannot get to the drinkers and the feeders, or where it's extremely reduced. You also need to use disinfectant if you're going in and out of chicken runs for your feet, for example. So I just have a tub of Virkin S disinfectant just in a washing up bowl. I've just got a big heavy piece of wood over the top. It was a cut off from a countertop. And then I use one pair of boots to go up and down the garden. So every time I go out into the garden, disinfect my boots, walk down. When I come back, disinfect my boots again. So it's really that simple. But as yet, you can still let your birds outside. So there's no shutting your birds away at the moment. Although the risk is there. At the moment, we haven't had avian flu in any commercial or backyard flocks. It's only been in the wild birds and the waterfowl, which is why they've just expanded this prevention zone. But fingers crossed, because I really want to get my incubators on, and I don't want to get my incubators on if we've got avian flu and we're in lockdown. So tomorrow on Smallholding Diaries, you'll have a little catch up with those 4 chicks that we hatched out earlier, but 4 is only 4. I really want to get my incubators on and get a lot of chicks going. I want to get all my quail going, and I want to get all my my lovely little silkies and my Polands. And I'm going to look for some more Ixworth eggs because we've just got that one Ixworth chick. So I am going to put it out there and I'm going to try and find some Ixworth eggs that I can hatch here. Excuse me, I'll have a little sip of tea. I also need to try and find my gosling for my guard goose, and I also want to get those eggs for the ornamental pheasants. So I really need to get my incubators whirring away. But as I say, I don't want to do that until we've really got past the possibility of a major lockdown for at least any length of time. If we do have a lockdown for a month or 6 weeks, that's not a problem because, you know, your chicks. But last year it was a pain because it was from December, I think, all the way through till March or April. And when you've got lots of chicks in the house, it gets rather smelly. But I think that's all the notices. So let me just scroll up and see who is here. So Hicksec Nation is here. Hi, welcome. Jacqueline, Liz. Hi, Liz. Jenny's Allotment Diary. Hi, Jenny. Nice to see you. Straw Family Farm. Hi. London Worms and Garden. Welcome to the chat. Yawn is here. Hi, Yawn. I hope I've said your name right this week. I think I might have got it wrong last week. And Susie is here as well. Thank you, Susie, and for your updates. So Arizona is quite cold as well. So welcome to the chat. We're just going to do a generalised chitter chatter really. And if you've got any questions, just let me know. And we'll go through all the things that I want to go through. I'm just happy that I've got this fire going, although I put a massive log on it earlier. And now I'm thinking I'm going to be going to bed in like 2 hours and that log is not going to burn through. So now I'm stuck with this darn log on there that's... Maybe I'll have to sleep downstairs with the dogs. I don't know. I don't like leaving the fire unattended. So, yeah, so that is life on Brimwood Farm. It's gone cold again. You know, we had those signs of spring and I got really excited thinking, oh, spring's on the way. And I should have known better because it's got really, really cold again. And hi, Vanessa. Welcome to the chat. Vanessa just said, quails. Yeah, we all love quails. And I really want to get my quail eggs on. I don't know whether I told you, but I have those little Chinese painted quails as well, which are, you know, they're tiny. But they've turned out to be boys. So I had one Chinese painted quail out the back with those, with the Coturnix quail. And I thought I'd get him some mates. So we bought 2 more and they turned out to be male. So I've now got 3 males. So again, I'm going to the bird show. I think it's on February the 18th. Just down the road next month. So I'm going to try and hopefully they'll have some Chinese painted quail there so I can pick up a few girls. And then I need to get some eggs in the incubator. Good evening, trees, woodlands and forest gardens. Susie's just said, how are the finches? The finches are really, really great. So I've got those 3 pair. They haven't started nesting yet. They do all go into the nest boxes of a night to sleep. They haven't actually started laying any eggs yet, and I think that was the change from outside coming inside. So they've kind of, their seasonality I think has been thrown off, because if you think about it, they were outside in the cold where they weren't nesting, and so they were probably, their bodies were probably prepared for this winter, and now I've brought them inside, so their bodies are probably readjusting. I did hear some mating sounds earlier on today. There's a very, very particular call that the boy hops around, and then you hear a sudden whirring, and the whirring is when they're mating. And I did hear that earlier today, but I have some baby zebra finches from last year in there which are for sale. And there's a mix of boys and girls in there, so it might have been those boys and girls at it. But I'm hoping that it was one of those little pairs in the cages that I've got, and that they're going to start laying eggs, because I really want to take you through the process of those finches. And it's really quick as well. You know, they lay eggs, it's 2-week incubation, and then it's a 2-week fledging. So within a month, they're done. They're in and they're out. So it's really quick. So that was a long answer, Susie, to how they are, but they're really, really good. London Worms and Gardens says, I'd love to be able to keep chicks, but 2 things prevent us. We are plagued with urban foxes and the deeds of our property. We can't keep horses or oxen in the back garden, but the deeds say nothing about pigs, so I might give them a go. Great composters. Yeah, they are indeed. In regards to that deeds thing, I was fairly sure that you could get around deeds with this Allotments Act thing, but we need to look into it. But yes, pigs. If you've got room for pigs, get a pig. Because surely, you know, if neighbours are going to complain about chickens, although I'm not saying they have complained, but why not pigs? Because pigs are really, really great. And okay, so Trees from Trees, Woods and Forest Gardens has just said, sorry about the long name, call me Trees. I will call you Trees, because we all love trees, so there's nothing better. And in fact, I received a tree in the post again this week, which was amazing. I know many of you watched the video a couple of weeks ago where I was sent that package by a donator, and they sent me what should have been 32 trees. There were 31, so there was 10 I'm going to forget now, 10 ash, 10 oak, 10 beech, and then 1 quite big black elder, and then a hyacinth, which you can see, oh, it's difficult, there. But there was supposed to be a sorbus in there as well, so a rowan. And they were out of stock, but they hadn't bothered to tell me, and they hadn't bothered to tell the person who donated either. So he called them up and complained, and they sent me a rowan this week, and they sent me with it another, this is really difficult, they sent me another hyacinth, which is great because the flower on this hyacinth literally broke off today. It has got another little flower coming here, so this one here has another flower, so it'll keep me going for a while. So I have got another tree coming, which is fantastic. And I've also updated I've gone through about my Patreon, and I'm trying to work out what people might like, and I've updated it a little bit so that Patreon's now at a certain level. If you're I think if you're Patreon at $8 a month for, I think it's 4 months, you now get a tree. So I will then use that money that you've donated to Patreon to buy a tree for the land. So that will help me build up this new Brimwood woodland as well, which will be really, really fun. But I'm really excited to take you guys up to the farm again, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to pick up some specific trees that are up there. And I was kind of inspired by a program that was over on Christmas. that was on TV, BBC One, over the Christmas period. It was Dame Judi Dench talking about trees. And they did a thing where they measured how old these trees were by the width and the circumference of the trunk. So I want to go up and I want to find some of the biggest trees on the property, and we'll have a little work out how old they are, because I'm thinking they're about 200 years old. So it'd be really interesting to find out just how old they are. And then I'll show you the plot where the woodland's going to go as well. And then, as I said before, the trees that were donated, I'm not going to be planting them up there until autumn. I'm going to be growing them on here at home in the backyard in pots, so I can make sure they're fed and they're watered properly, and they're not grazed by deer. And then this autumn I will take them up and we'll start actually laying out the new woodland, and we'll obviously put guards around the trees so they don't get nibbled. And I will also tell my tenant farmer that they're there, because he mows everything down for me come the end of the year, and I don't want him mowing down little trees because they are, they are quite small. I mean, the rowan that came was about this big, so that would get mowed down very quickly. So we will take care, but I'm excited about that. It's going to be really, really good. Hello, Kat. Kat is one of my Patreons. Welcome to the channel. She says, just put my residents to bed. Now I'm here. We've not been this early before. Do you mean children by residents? Or, oh no, wait, are you a nurse? Did you put your residents at work or to bed? Or did you put your residents as in your children to bed? I'd love to know. Vanessa is here. What food did you feed your quails, and what do you recommend? I'm planning on getting quails. So at the moment I feed my quails chickens layer pellets, because I buy a lot of layer pellets for my chickens. And so they just tend to get the same thing, and they also get, because they're in the aviary with the zebra finches, they get spilt zebra finch feed as well. And they also pick around in the mud and find out what they get. Now really you could feed them that layers pellets, but you can also buy from most farm shops like more of a game layer pellet, which is aimed at sort of pheasants and things like that, and quail are perfectly good with that sort of thing as well. And in fact in the wild they would eat a lot more insects, and so the game pellets, if you're only buying for quail, I would buy game pellets. If you've got tons of chickens and you're buying layers pellets anyways, then they can eat the layers pellets, but I would go for a game wild game sort of pellet if you can. Dan is here. Hi Dan, welcome. And the little picture of your weather, lovely. Patrick said, hi there, I didn't update on the community page, but I had to unfortunately put to sleep my little duck. She was getting no better. I'm buying a gosling on the 1st of February, which I shouldn't, but really can't resist. Oh, I'm really sorry about that. So for those of you that are on Brimwood Farm community group page, Patrick is a rescuer of birds. So he gets a lot of injured birds that come into him, and he does all he can to try and get them better. And he had a duck that came in and her legs wouldn't work properly. So he basically put her into like a little mini wheelchair contraption, with the sort of the promise of, after a few days of being off her feet, the nerves would come back and she'd be able to walk again. So I'm really sad that it didn't come back. I guess that's life though, sadly. And you've done so much for all the rest of the birds. I guess you win some and you lose some. But where are you getting your gosling? Because I need a gosling, you know. I am on the gosling lookout. And then Patrick also says, you won't see me following you here much in the next few months as baby season kicks in, of course, very soon. And I'm rearing 50 baby birds at a time. 50? Oh my goodness. And babies, they need a lot of feeding round the clock, don't they? I know that just from pet birds, if you're rearing budgies and things, they need hand feeding every few hours. So 50 birds, blimey. You're going to be a busy man, Patrick. You're going to be a very busy man. I know, so everybody's amazed at these 50 birds. Liz says, yes, let's to the farm again and see where the new woodland will be. I'm hoping to get up there. I really need a trip away and up to the farm and see how it's going. I'm just checking on the fire. It seems to be hissing a lot. I also need to go up to the farm and get some wood, because that is my penultimate log. So I do need to go and get some wood as well. So it'd be nice to show them all around. Carl is here. Hi, Carl. Carl says, how are the heuchera cuttings doing? They're doing really well. I checked on them today. They are in the greenhouse. So obviously it's not a heated greenhouse, and so they're left to the defences of the cold weather. So they're not frosted, but they haven't really done a lot, because obviously they're outside and the roots haven't got going. They are completely all still alive. I just make sure they're kept watered and that soil is moist. but they've all survived. So hopefully, as soon as we get a little bit of warm spell of weather, they will start to take off and I can get them out again. So Kat asks, Jeff, what are the rules regarding selling chicks and point of lays at car boots and farmers markets? I don't think there are any. I know last year, so let me think, last year... So before last year, obviously with the avian flu outbreak, they changed it. So I'd already always sold chickens and point of lays and chicks and things like that, our local auction, and never had to fill any paperwork. Literally, I took them down there, sold them, auctioned them. Last year, they did start making sure that when you went to a sale, when you registered, that it wasn't, you didn't personally have to take charge, but the organisers of the sale you had to fill out some paperwork of your address and the chickens you'd sold. So there was kind of a paper trail back to whoever. So I would suspect if you want to sell at farmers markets and you want to sell at car boots, you'll have to contact the organisers and they will be able to fill you in on the details. It's no bad thing to keep records anyway of who you've sold to and where they've gone. I always do. I like to do that. I will look it up, but as far as I know, there aren't any mega rules apart from possibly those ones that have come in last year during the avian flu that have carried on, just about knowing where you've sold your chickens. Hi Yawn. So Yawn said, I will send you eggs from silky chicks in blue and grey. Oh, I do love silky chicks. I love silkies. I've got so many of them. Thank you. So Tree says, are the YouTube rule changes? Can I plug my channel? I need 20 more. Well, I think you're plugging just by being on the live stream. So hopefully, if people see you, they can come across and subscribe to you. It is an utter pig. I can't believe they've done it, and I'm quite angry about it. So Kat is asking about the rules. So basically, what YouTube have done is they've decided that. Last year, obviously, we had the ad apocalypse, and they changed the rules so that you couldn't monetize until you had 10,000 hours watch time, which people were annoyed about, but it was doable. And well, now they have changed it again, so now you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time in the past 12 months, and you have to have 1,000 subscribers. So if you are under 1,000 subscribers, you can no longer monetize, and they're already backing it as well. So this is not just for new entrants. If you've had a channel for years and years and years, and maybe you haven't done any videos lately, and say you've got 5,000 subscribers, but you haven't done any videos lately, and so your watch time is below the 4,000 hours, you're going to get chucked out. So that's what they've changed it to. I have thoughts both ways of this. I think it's good in some ways because they are trying to crack down and make sure that all the content on the channel is good content, and without advertisers here, there's no money coming into YouTube at all, and then nobody can make money, so they do need to keep those advertisers happy. But I don't like the fact that they've made it 1,000 subscribers, because I think that will just generate a system where it's a sub for pay. You know, there are people out here, not like me and not like you. There are people out there that will set up accounts especially to try and sub to people's channels just to get a little bit of money out of it. So I also think new creators might be put off from creating. So that's the new situation. I would say to new creators, just keep going, because it took me a year and a half maybe to get to 1,000 subscribers, but honestly, in that year and a half, I probably made $40, if that. So, unless your channel really starts taking off, you don't tend to get a lot of money from monetization anyway, and there's not a lot we can do about it, other than just support each other. So I wholeheartedly agree with Trees. Hop over to Trees' website, take a look at the videos. As with everybody on this chat, if you're running a channel, hop across, look at the channels, and then if you like them, sub them, because it is now more important than ever. Kat said there was a really scary ad in front of one of my videos the other day. Really? What was it about, or can you not say? I would like to know these sorts of things. I wish that we, as creators, could actually vet some of the adverts as well. Because if we could say, you know, because if I run a blog and I'm going using AdSense, I can block certain sites from showing stuff on my website. So I wish there was a way for us to see what was actually playing on our own stuff, because I don't want bad stuff playing on my videos, for example. London Worms and Gardens is so annoying. I'm a few dollars away from getting first ever check from them, and they changed the goalposts. Good point, Ari, the subs, but they needed 4,000 hours of... Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure what's happening to people that haven't got all the way. There were some people that seemed to think that their money was going to get taken away. You know, they were almost to there, and then they were going to lose their money rather than it sit in their account. I'm not sure how that works. Oh no, Kat, I'm sorry. So Kat says it was a movie with some scary half-dead person crawling across the floor. I had to hide my fingers. Why on earth did they put that on a chicken video or a succulent video or something? These people are crazy. And Liz is agreeing. Yes, I'm fed up with seeing GM and other large corp adverts in front of my vlogs. Yes, exactly. I wish I could pick and choose what... Because I don't think... If advertisers can pick and choose, and now at the top tier, so at the other end, the big creators that are making, you know, millions, at that end, advertisers can now pick and choose whose channel they want to go on. Fair enough. But I think it should also go that creators can choose what they want, because I would far prefer having a gardening advert on my channel than, you know, an advert for stair lifts. I'm sure there aren't any stair lift adverts on my channels, but I'm just putting that out there, you know. So I don't know. I would far prefer that, but we can't do anything about it. Charlie, hi Charlie, welcome to the chat. So Charlie just said, did I just hear Barry? You would know if you just heard Barry. They are out there. Just out here is where they go to sleep overnight. No, but he is fast asleep. I think that might have been a Sard falling out of bed. And we also have mice at the moment. So I will be sitting here at my computer and I will just hear a mouse scuttling across the ceiling. So I need to get the traps out again. But no, Barry's being very nice at the moment. I'm kind of used to last year Barry being aggressive and very, very crowy, but he's calmed down. But I think that's probably because it's winter. And, you know, at the moment, he's a bit more chilled out. Although he's not, you know, he doesn't stop doing the deed, as we know, because we've got those chicks. But no, he's chilled out at the moment, which is rather nice. It's nice to see you in the chat. I need to show you this chicken mug, by the way. Isn't that great? I do like to buy mugs. I'm a bit of a mug person. And if it's got a chicken on it, well, I can't stop myself. So, I know, so Kat is saying I love a good mug. I know, I love a good mug. The problem is I now have cupboards filled with mugs. And filled with a lot of mugs that are so old, you know, they're mugs that I've had for 20 years and they've got chips in them, but I can't bear to throw a mug away. I can't bear. I have become quite clumsy in the past year, so I have broken quite a lot of mugs, but I do love a bit of a mug. Susie's saying I won't watch ads longer than 10 seconds. I know they're always playing around with the ads. I prefer the ads that just pop up on the bottom because then you can just close them rather than those ads that you have to watch all the way through. Robin Knight says plant some succulents in the chopped mugs. What a good idea! Brilliant idea, in fact. And then you could, yeah, that's a brilliant idea. And then I could even take those mugs with me to sales and just to sell, you know, because if people can see, if there's a great chip in here, but there's succulents, if people can see there's a great big chip in there and they'll still buy the succulent, perfect. That's a really, really good idea, Robin. And a great way of getting some of them out of the cupboard because I do have, why am I holding this pen? I do have a lot of mugs, too many, in fact. No, you can't have too many mugs. I have a lot of mugs. Kat says, I get moody if my mother-in-law drinks from the face. Same. You know, when we moved here, we bought 2 brand new fresh mugs. There were 2 stuffy mugs. So one was a bit like this, and it had Staffordshire Bull Terriers on it. And then another one was a fine china one. I put them all in the cupboard. I had my little pot of tea ready, and I was like, oh, the first time we use those. And then I came one morning, and the blimmin' builders were using them. I was not amused, but I couldn't exactly have a go at them because there were mugs in the cupboard, and I said to help themselves to tea, fair enough. But I was like, oh no, you soiled my mug. I didn't get to use it for a first time. It's silly, the little things that annoy us. So let me just see. Joe, Kat has asked, Jeff, can you do an aloe vera propagating vid? I will. Yes, I will. What I need to do is I'm just going to wait for the mother plant to grow a few more babies so that we can then follow it through. So I can take the babies off and then you can see them rooting and go on. But yeah, well, I'll definitely do one of those aloe vera ones because I think it's very, very helpful. And PK Sharpshooter just said, my favourite mug just broke today. No, I hate it when that happens. I hate it. I did my favourite mug. I don't even know how I did it. Oh, I have a butler sink, and the problem with a butler sink is if you drop china when you're washing up. So my favourite mug, I broke the handle. So I did, on that point, it was my favourite. So I did actually glue the handle back on, and it's holding all right. I mean, it looks awful now because it's got a great old mark across the bottom, but it's still my favourite mug. Kat says, my aloe vera died off. I kept it in my polytunnel, but the cold got to it. Oh, what a pain. And Liz says, use a washing up bowl in the sink. I know, I'm not a fan, Liz, of washing up bowls in the sink because then stuff gets down the side and it all gets mucky and I like it nice and clean so I can just like blitz it and bleach it and make it nice and white. But you're right, it would save me breaking all these mugs because I do break a hell of a lot. So Patrick is saying, I'm getting the Gosling off a lady down the road from me, but I'm all the way in Manchester. That is quite a journey just to get a Gosling. Yeah, I know, Liz. Shh. I do occasionally because I like it nice and white. Shh. I need to find a better solution. But yes, so the Gosling, yeah, I need to find somebody nice because I've decided I don't really want to hatch the geese because, you know, if I only get one egg and it doesn't hatch, well, then I've incubated it for all that time and I haven't got anything. Or, knowing my luck, I'd get 3 or 4 eggs to ensure one hatch and then I'll end up with 4 geese. And then we talked about this last week, the fact that if you have more than one goose, they don't tend to turn into a good guard goose. And you kind of need a male. Although, thinking about that, you can't sex goslings, can you, when they're little? So how do you ensure that you've got a male? Going to have to investigate this. Liz is saying vinegar. Yes, so vinegar, I will have to do this. Will white vinegar work? I wonder if a white vinegar will work, because I could use that. I've got a big bottle of white vinegar. And Liz also said there are some goose groups on Facebook. That's a good idea, actually. Maybe I'll join some goose groups and see what they have to say. Because I would like... I don't want to get tons of geese that I then have to dispatch of. I would like just to get a boy gosling and rear him up. But then, as I've just thought, I don't know whether I can tell whether there's a difference between them. Garrett, hello Garrett, welcome to the channel. Garrett said, "How do you meet your husband?" I'll allow that question. He's from Canada and we met online, and he used to be an air steward. So to him, grabbing a flight and coming over here to meet me and stuff was no big deal. So we kind of long distance relationship for 18 months and then he moved to the UK. And now we have to deal with the stupid immigration laws, visas and all of that. So Susie is saying, just lay a thick towel in the bottom of the sink and then throw it in the laundry. Yeah, that's true actually. That's a good idea actually. I'd just use an old towel that I'm going to put in the laundry anyway, just for when I'm doing the cups. Charlie, I'm just going to do a shout out for Charlie. So Charlie says, if anyone is in Bristol area, she's wondering if anyone has any quails for sale. If you have quails for sale and you are in the Bristol area, message Charlie because she wants some quailies. PK Sharp Super says, as a chef, you constantly move around in the kitchen, and I didn't pay attention because my restaurant was full, and yeah, I didn't concentrate. I guess I'll buy a new one when I arrive in Spain. Oh, you're a chef. I find that very impressive because A, I can't cook, and B, when I watch those cooking programs, like when they're doing the chef stuff, that is my idea of hell. If there is a hell and I end up there, I will be in like the Master Chef kitchen, in one of those commercial kitchen setups in a never-ending loop of having to produce food and being shouted at. I can't. It makes me so scared. And you know, the contestants come out at the end and they're like, oh, it was so scary and so awful and so frantic. Oh, but I loved it. And I was thinking, you loved it? I would have thrown down my knife and walked out. No way. I couldn't do it. Liz, yeah, so I was thinking of Liz. So yeah, Charlie is in Bristol and Liz is just over the bridge in Wales. She hasn't got any quail yet because I am sending her some eggs probably next month, I think I said, Liz, aren't I? So Liz will have some eggs and possibly see some chicks down the road, Charlie. Cat is in Somerset. I don't know why I didn't realise that. I thought Cat was up north for some reason. And London Worms and Garden says, I'm a fantastic cook in my head anyway. The reality is somewhat different. I'm a fantastic cook. I still live off, well, actually, Sard is the cook. So Sard cooks really good food. I still cook student food. I toasties, beans on toast, and pasta where it's normally a bit overdone, and if I haven't got any sauces, ready-made sauces in the cupboard, I squeeze in some tomato ketchup. One of my resolutions for this year is to eat better, and to eat better means using more stuff from the garden, because what the problem happens here is I grow a lot of the veg, and a lot of the veg gets sold and it never gets to come into my own mouth. So this year I am going to try and grow even more so that I can keep some of it and actually feed myself a little bit more. And Liz says, if you have to go gluten-free, yeah, stuffed. I did go gluten-free for a little bit. I don't even know how I did it because it was terrible. PK Sharpshooter is saying, it's hard work, yes, but I want everything to be on time. Exactly. That's why you sound like hell is in the kitchen. Yeah, I know. I completely get it. I couldn't deal with the pressure. It's way too much pressure. You know, trying to cook and people are shouting at you. No, I couldn't. Kat is saying, I do as much from scratch as possible. It's a pain in the bum getting the kids to eat it. And Straw Family Farm says, I'm in the US and I cook country style. We fry and bake and everything, which is awesome. Really, really good. I really want to get into it more. That is certainly one of my things for this year, is to cook from scratch a lot more, bake. I used to bake bread all the time, and I just need to get into the habit of doing a once or twice weekly bake, so I never have to buy bread. Because this is another thing, I really want to go as plastic free as possible. You know, we need plastic. My phone is plastic that I'm filming this on. You know, I've got plastic over there. The tripod that was donated by Liz is plastic. My laptop here has plastic in it. But all this disposable plastic, you know, the plastic that comes around vegetables and the plastic that comes around toilet rolls and the plastic packaging on bread, it's just, oh, it's too much. So I really want to start baking more, and then I'm hoping that once I get into the baking just simple loaves, I can start to try things more like hot cross buns and stuff like that, which I buy a lot of, but they just come with so much plastic on them. Fried green beans. That sounds nice. I need to try fried green tomatoes. It always reminds me of that brilliant Kathy Bates film. I really, really need to try it again. I really want to try them. And Kat is saying, I used to bake loads, blogged about it too, even got sent cookies and chocolates from companies. That's awesome. Although I am trying to cut down on the cookies and the chocolates because I'm getting a bit older now and it's gaining on me now. I used to be able to eat, you know, I could eat whatever I wanted, but these days I can't. Charlie is asking, is anything in the incubator? No, it's not, and I can't bear it, and I need to get my incubators back on. I was saying just a little bit earlier, I'm just going to wait. I was going to say I'm going to wait till the end of March, but actually I've changed my mind. I've had quite a few people ask for quail, so February I'm going to put in some quail because they stay so small, and they are small for a long time as well. So it means that if we do get an avian flu lockdown, I haven't got problems in keeping them inside. So February is mostly going to be quail, and I'm still on the search for my ornamental pheasant chicks. So if I find some ornamental pheasant eggs to hatch, I need 2 different sources for breeding stock. If I find those, they'll be going in February as well. And then March will be my main, end of February, March will be my main start to the incubation season. So we will choose what we want to, I'll put a poll out there to you guys, and you can choose which chicks you want for chick check, because we are going to do another chick check this year and follow some chicks from hatching all the way through to maturity. So I'll let you guys know when I'm putting eggs in, and you can choose which you would like to see. Obviously I would have been doing Exworth, but we had the issue with the fox. But I've got that 1 Exworth chick, and I am going to try and source some more Exworth eggs and do sort of a 10-12 batch of Exworths. I've got the Polands, I've got the Danvers, I've got the Silkies. And then you may remember from last year, I kept that little rooster, that Silky Danver cross rooster, Bruce. And I'm going to be breeding Bruce back to some Silkies. So he's got silky fluff feathers, but he hasn't got the silky... and he's got the silky 5 toes, yeah, that's right. But he hasn't got the silky walnut comb because he's got the Danver comb. So I'm going to be breeding him back to some white silkies. So there'll be quite a lot of eggs going in. And, I know it's January, but I just want to get going. So Straw Family Farm is asking, question about your incubator. Did you build it or buy it? I did neither, because I was actually gifted it. So I bought originally one of those cheap, crappy Chinese-made ones. They're kind of like an oval shape. They've got a transparent plastic base, and then a coloured top. It worked actually really, really well. The first one I bought worked really, really well. The second one had all sorts of issues with it. And I was just moaning on Facebook to some friends, and a very wonderful chicken mad lady on there had a couple of really ancient Brinsea Octo 10s. So they're very, very basic. You might have seen them. They're literally like a tube with a tray that slots in, and they fit 10 decent size eggs in, or you can get a lot more quail and stuff in. So I was actually gifted them, so I have 2 of those. And it wasn't until I started hatching in a Brinsea that I realised how crappy the old one had been, because the hatch rates, even though this is a really basic, simple one, the hatch rates are way better. Way, way, way better. And I now do dry hatches as well, because I don't even worry about humidity. I just do a dry hatch and shove the water in at the last minute, and it works wonderfully. Thomas says, my missus loves orchids, but they're hard to keep alive. I find with orchids, treat them mean. Some people say you've got to mist them with tepid water all the time. They don't like to be moved. So what you'll normally find is when you buy them from the supermarket and they're in flower, they will flower. And then once those flowers go over, they will take quite a long time, 6 to 8 months, to produce a new flower stalk. What they really don't like, though, is being moved. So don't put them in a full sun position. Try and put them on an east, west, or north facing windowsill, or in a humid environment like a bathroom, and then just don't move them, because they get accustomed to where they are. And I found that if you then move them to a new spot, they hate it. They hate that more than being watered with tap water and stuff like that. I only probably water mine every week or 2 weeks, and then I do have a little orchid feed spray that you spray on the leaves. But for the most part, I leave them in one place. I water them every couple of weeks, and by watering I mean I take them out of the pots, I put them into my sink, I gush water over the roots for a minute maybe, and then I leave them in the sink to drain, and then they go back into their pot. I mean, that tends to work quite well, but as I say, you can get more flushes of flowers from them, it just takes a long time. So if you are keeping orchids, it's a long game to get them to flower. Kat says, I failed all 3 times I tried to incubate my own eggs. I actually read that wrong. I thought you said, I thought it was you were trying to incubate your own eggs, and I was getting a bit confused. I'm hoping the girls I bought last year will do it for me. Bring on the chick babies. Yeah, they might well. Hopefully they'll go broody. Patrick is saying, I might be able to help you with ornamental pheasant eggs. Don't have them personally, but know a brilliant farm that ships them out. Wonderful, Patrick. Oh, please let me know. So I've never kept ornamental pheasants before, so I'm starting with something basic, i.e. a golden pheasant. So it can be a golden pheasant, pure golden pheasant, or it can be one of the mutations of the golden pheasant, which is the different colours. But I think that'll probably be the easiest and the best starter bird to keep. So I am looking for golden pheasant eggs, and obviously I want 2 different breeders because I want to rear breeding stock that I can then breed together. But that'd be wonderful if you could let me know about that. Yorn is starting his incubator next week with Sarama eggs. Wonderful. I love Saramas. They're very cute. Oh, yeah, so Liz has just said, Straw Family Farm asked what sort of incubator you have. So it's a Brinsea Octo 10. They don't actually make them anymore, but I do highly recommend Brinseas. When I first started out, I was, oh, it's a Brinsea. They're so expensive. You know, I'm sure I can get something, you know, similar that will work just fine. And some of those China-made ones do work just fine, but I have, as I said, I have noticed since buying the Brinsea or being gifted the Brinsea, my hatch rates are way up. So I do highly recommend a Brinsea. If you can't afford one, there are tons of them that go for second hand. A lot of schools, I don't know if this is the same in the US where you are, but over here a lot of schools do hatches, and some hire the incubators, but some actually buy an incubator and hatch them, and then they don't want the incubator anymore and they sell them off. So if you go on eBay and things like that, you can often find second hand Brinsea incubators at very good rates. Normally, so unfortunately, normally it's in the summer, so it's kind of after the main hatching season is finished. But Brinseas are well worthwhile. Garrett is asking, how far do I live from my neighbours? A few metres. I'm in a terraced house here, so there behind this wall is my 82-year-old neighbour, and through this wall and the kitchen is my 75-year-old neighbour. So I'm lucky that I live next to 2 elderly ladies who don't have great hearing. But yeah, I'm extremely urban, extremely. Dan says, I don't use incubators, I use broody hens, and last year I hatched out 17 from one hen, wow, and 2 from another. 11 were roosters. I know. Yes, last year seemed to be, no, for me, last year was actually equal. The year before that was so rooster heavy. I got so many roosters. I don't know why, it seems to be like that. I meant to ask, Kat, what happened with your rooster that attacked your kid? I'd like to know what happened there. Let's scroll down. Charlie's just asking about the zebrafinches, if they've laid yet. We haven't got any eggs yet, but I was just saying earlier, I have heard them mating. And I only know their mating is because the male sings, and then I clock in, because I've been keeping them over 20 years. There's a kind of a whirring sound, and the whirring sound is the boy jumping on the girl and kind of whirring his wings to stay afloat. So I have heard that, so I'm hoping they've mated, and I'm hoping they're going to be laying eggs. Unfortunately, it's from the pied and white couple, so it's not from the white couple and it's not from the fawn couple, it's from the pied and white. But hopefully they're also colony breeders, so like budgies, zebrafinches are colony breeders, so when one pair starts, it often fuels the others to get going, so hopefully that will happen. Robert, hello! Robert from Daybird Aviaries is here. Hello, welcome. Dan says, I'm very poor and really can't afford an incubator. I know, I am with you. Brinseas in particular are very expensive. So yeah, broodies work really well, and if you can find a second-hand Brinsea, they also work well as well. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through. I've got behind on my messages. You lot are chatty, which is good. So Garrett says, which eggs do you prefer to eat? I love quail eggs. I wouldn't say I prefer to eat a certain type, but I don't get a chance to eat my quail eggs because as soon as they're laid, they whiz off the shelves and get sold. So I generally eat my bantam chicken eggs. So most of my eggs that are sold are the larger ones. We're not officially or legally allowed to grade them because I'm just a small place, but I do tend to put the bigger eggs in for customers so they don't feel they're getting gypped. So I tend, the teeny ones, I've got some tiny bantams which literally lay eggs like that. So I tend to eat those ones. I do occasionally get a quail egg, but as I say, most of the time they get eaten so quickly I don't get a chance. They get sold so quickly, sorry, I don't get a chance. London Worms and Garden, this has been lovely, guys. I need to push on as a busy day tomorrow. You may have gone already, but good night, London Worms. Thank you for stopping by. It's been a pleasure to see you, and I hope you come again. Liz is saying she hatched almost 100 chicks last year. That's crazy. And Rob is saying, my incubators are all full. I just put 10 pheasant eggs under a broody silky. Oh, cool. What kind of pheasants? I've just been talking about ornamental pheasants. Kat says he's not been let out of the run since the DEFRA info, so nothing bad. He's fine with me, so I'll just keep him away from the kiddies. That's a good idea. And she also says, how do you sell your eggs, Jeff? I don't know where to start. So I literally just started selling them to neighbours. I was very nervous to start with. I had to contact my local authority because even where I live, selling eggs, you're classed as selling edibles, and you come under a food business. So I had to contact the local authority, register as food business, and then they did do. Somebody did come around just to sit down and go through some paperwork. Wasn't scary at all. You need to make sure you just adhere to the selling guidelines for eggs in the UK or wherever in the world you are, but for cat you're in the UK. So you need to, all your egg boxes, you need to not use egg boxes that have been used by somebody else. So you can't recycle boxes from the supermarket because they've got the wrong information on it. So you need to buy blank egg boxes off eBay or something like that. You need to put your name an address on there. Your name and address always needs to be on there, and you need to have a sell by date. So I do a sell by date of 3 weeks since they're packed. So legally, eggs have to be sold in the UK. Eggs have to be sold within 28 days. So I do, is it 28 days? I think, it's 28 days. So I do, basically my labels say eat, I can't remember what they say now. Eat within 3 weeks of the date below, and then I put the date that it's that I sell the eggs, so that I pick the eggs and I put them into the box. So I do a 3 week gap, which then gives me a 7-day period in which to sell the eggs. And I started literally with just a sign at the front of my driveway. I put a sign at the end of my driveway saying farm fresh eggs for sale. And I was nervous, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought, oh, people, I'm not in an affluent area. I'm charging $150 per 6. People won't be that interested. People were interested. I had quite a lot of knocks within days. And now I can't keep up. So I sell a lot of eggs, mostly to my neighbours, and then a few to people when I drive up into London. I've got a couple of customers that like to take my eggs, so I just drop them off on the way. And then it kind of spirals that way. So I would start with that. And obviously, because work is a great place as well. So my husband used to sell quite a lot of work eggs to his colleagues. So I would start with sussing out whether your colleagues want to buy any. Maybe putting a little sign at the end of your gate. I also generally sometimes do a Facebook shout out. So I don't live near most of my Facebook friends, but I sometimes, if I've got loads of eggs, I'll just do a quick Facebook shout out to my friends list and say, if you live near me and you want eggs, let me know because I've got tons. So good luck. Rob is saying, David Avery's is saying, Jeff, would you do me a huge favour and say hello to my son, Jeremiah? Of course! Hello, Jeremiah. Welcome to the chat. And I think it's late over here. So what time is it here? We're coming up to 11 o'clock over here, 11 p.m. But I think it's early afternoon for you. So I hope you have a great Saturday. And look after all those chickens and birds. I've seen your really, really good work helping your dad to make up those cages. I'm very impressed. Charlie has said, what do you put on the floor of the aviary? So on my aviary floor, I have just soil because my aviary, well, originally was supposed to be a planted aviary, so I was going to have tons of plants in there. But then it got used as an overflow for chickens, and obviously chickens and plants do not mix. I used to, when I was a kid and I kept birds, I used to just have like a shingle gravel in the bottom of the aviary, which is really, really helpful because you can just wash it down. Or you can have like concrete slabs, again, easy to wash down, and then you could just put pots of plants. So if you've got parakeets and things like that, you can't keep plants because they will just destroy them. And canaries are very good at nipping out the growing tips of plants and killing them. But finches love a bit of greenery, so you can put, if you want an easy scrub, easy way to keep them clean, you can put, I would put like concrete slabs down, paving slabs, and then grow lots of plants in pots and climbers and things like that because it works really well. Dan says, I actually had 2 Muscovy ducks, but they both turned out to be drakes. Oh, I love Muscovies. I've got a place in my heart for Muscovies, and I will have them one day. Patrick's just PM'd me, thank you. I will make sure I get to that PM. It might not be tonight, but it will definitely be in the next few days. Garrett says, do you kill the runt chicks? I don't kill any runt chicks. Generally, I don't have any runt chicks. Probably from all the hatching I've done, I've only had a couple. And I just find that generally, if I just look after them and they just get left with the rest of the flock, they generally tend to grow up and be all right. So no, I don't kill them off. I give them a chance. So Daybird Every says that, so I asked him what kind of pheasants he's putting into his incubator. They're just a domestic ringneck pheasant. Still, common domestic, they're still bloody gorgeous, aren't they? We have them wild over here, so I'm not sure. I think you could probably keep them because most places actually will rear ringnecks for the hunt for shooting season, but they are gorgeous, so they're not just common. I like them. Straw Family Farm is saying, chore time on here on the farm. Check you all later. Thank you so much for stopping in. It's really, really nice to have some people in from over the pond to sort of brighten up our days. So have a great day. Thank you. Yeah, and Kat, you can just message me if you want, or I can put up a little Patreon update with all the information for you. Maybe I'll do that, and then you should get notified from Patreon, and I'll just write down sort of what I've done to get the egg sales. Hector, welcome for stopping in. He says, I like chicken. I love chickens, and I like ducks as well. Jeff says, what size are the eggs? Which eggs, Jeff? Maybe you're not speaking to me. I noticed the eggs at the store are much bigger than mine. Yes. So maybe you're talking about just general eggs. Yeah, the eggs at the store, when you buy like the dozen of brown eggs, they are, I think, and it's because they're coming from commercial hybrid hens. But they don't taste as good, do they? So some of my customers actually prefer the smaller eggs. I've got one customer in particular who comes every week and buys a dozen, and she actually prefers my little small eggs because she says that there's just the same amount of yolk in those eggs. It's just the white that tends to be less, so she loves them. Susie is saying Patara. Yes, so Susie, this is to do with flooring and coops. Patara uses sheet vinyl flooring. I did, and I saw her do a little DIY last year of that. Again, and vinyl is very cheap stuff to buy, and again, it's very easy just to clean down and to scrub and make sure it's all sanitized. Hector's asked, how many roosters do I have? I have Skeksis, Barry, Blackie, no, not Blackie, Bruce, 6. 6? 4, 5. 5. I've got 5 roosters at the moment. At the moment. I had a lot more last year, but I had to kill them off, sadly. Liz is saying she tried vinyl in the base of the duck house. Big mistake, they trashed it. Oh no. And yes, yes. Patrick is saying my expats eggs are larger than the ones in the store. as they age, the eggs get better. Yeah, I found I've got a few expats, and can you hear my cat? He's going to shut up now. Yes? What? Are we going to see him? Are you going to come and say hello? Or are you going to sit by the fire and get frazzled? Mike, oh, there he is. You can see him just down there. This cat is the stupidest cat in the world because he likes to get as close to the fire as possible. And he likes to do it just when the fire is starting to spit. And I do live in fear that one day he... where have you gone? There he is. One day he's going to just get fire whipped. But yes, so back to the hen, the eggs. The expats, yeah, I do find they can be quite watery. They're large eggs, but I do find they can be quite watery, and the white, it doesn't hold together as well. No worries, Hector. I'm happy to answer questions. And Yawn says, I love your cat. He is cute. And Garrett says, dogs are better. Well, there you go. Here you go, Garrett. There's 2 dogs for you. They're both completely sozzled. I have a leather couch, which is why I have to have duvets down on the couch constantly, because otherwise they just scratch everything. And in fact, actually, it wasn't the dogs that ruined it, it's the cat, because he's quite old now, so he comes to jump up onto the leather couch, misses, or is sleeping on the arm and falls asleep and falls off, and then obviously the claws go straight into the leather. So, but leather is so much easier than fabric. Susie St. James says watery eggs are old eggs. Well, I know, yeah, they are. But I do find with my expats, they're what, 3 or 4 years old, and the eggs they lay are watery from day one. You know, you crack one open and they just, there's a lot of white to not a lot of yolk, and they're very watery, which is why one of my customers prefers the smaller ones. So Hector is asking, how many types of chicken do I have? I have quite a lot. So I have quite a lot of hybrid and mixed hens. And then I have the Silkies and the Barber Danvers. I have 1 Ixworth that I'm recovering. Some Danver crosses. I have 1 Iam Samani, black Iam Samani hen. And I have my Polands. So I've got 5 or 6 different varieties at the moment. Space allowing, I will get way more. And Robert Daybird Avery is saying cats are much better than dogs. I don't know how I feel about that, because I've always had cats. Cats have been my longest because I couldn't have a dog for a long time, so I had cats. But then I got a dog, and I do love dogs. They're just very different, because cats can be very loving but very independent, and dogs can be very loving but sometimes almost too loving. So I think I love them all the same. Patrick is saying, what's your opinion on the grey squirrel cunt? I apologise for that word. The grey squirrel cull. Shouldn't really mention this as people have strong views on this. We have a squirrel licence. Cat, I'm so embarrassed. I'm going to move swiftly on from that slip of the tongue. So Patrick says, about the squirrel cull. So I would like to know, actually, of you watching, what do you think about the grey squirrel cull? So the grey squirrels are not native to England, and they've taken over, and they're basically like tree rats. I'm so embarrassed. And so I don't mind the tree cull. I love all animals, and if a squirrel is a grey squirrel only area, then fair enough. But I think in an area where you've got red squirrels and you've got grey squirrels, Liz, yeah, I did. If you've got red squirrels and grey squirrels living in the same area, I think grey squirrels should be... I may need to go and contain myself. Grey squirrels should be controlled, so that red squirrels can thrive. I'm going to have to edit this live stream and cut it off at that point. That is so embarrassing. So Patrick, that is the answer. I agree in some cases that grey squirrels should be culled, because where they're taking over red squirrel habitat, they should definitely, the red squirrels should be allowed to thrive. But in areas where there's only grey squirrels, I don't see it, and there's no red squirrels even slightly likely to come in. I don't see the huge point in doing it. I'm glad Jeremiah isn't paying attention either. God, how embarrassing. So we are, so Susie says, do red and grey eat the same forage? I think they do. I think they kind of compete, and because the grey squirrels are just really, they thrive really well. You know, they can breed all year, they're bigger, they're better foragers, and so the poor little red squirrel doesn't really have a chance. And the red squirrels also, from my minor knowledge of it, has also been subject to quite a bad disease as well, which has killed them off. And then because the grey squirrel has then moved into their territory, the red squirrels haven't been able to kind of recover from losing their territory to grey squirrels. And grey squirrels can be vicious little things. I mean, they might look nice when they're running around the ground, but if you watch them in the trees, they fight like hell for leather. They really do go crazy with each other. So they can. They can be a bit of a menace. We have got some at the farm. I did think we were a grey squirrel free area until this past November, I think, and I was sitting in the car up there, and I did notice some grey squirrels. But we have no red squirrels, so I don't really worry about it. And so Patrick is saying it's actually more about habitat loss that people cause before grey squirrels are introduced. Yeah, so I mean we've as humans have removed so much habitat. I was extremely lucky last November when we went to Scotland to actually see a red squirrel in the wild. I've never seen one before. I've even gone to places, sanctuaries, where they've had red squirrel breeding programs, and I've never managed to actually see one. So to see one in the wild was amazing. But they are tiny, beautiful, placid, fragile looking things. So you can see why when they come up against the grey squirrel, they just can't cope. Jorn has a horse. I love my horse, my dog Tuffy, my Sarama, but I've never had a cat. I would love a horse one day. I really would. And Saad is horse mad. When he lived in Saudi Arabia, he used to ride Saudi horses. So it is a plan one day to have horses again. I'm happy to oblige, Liz. Oh dear, Freudian slip. So David Avery says, grey squirrels are good fried with onion gravy and mashed potatoes. Now I have seen, we did have a show over here as well. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. I don't know whether you've heard of him over in the US, but he's quite a famous cook and chef over here, and he also does a smallholding. So he ran River Cottage, where he set up a smallholding and he followed it through from growing all the way through, and he did some squirrel pies, and they went down very, very well. So again, I would quite like to try that. And if you capture squirrels over here, and I think if you capture them or you take them to a rescue centre, they're not actually legally allowed to be released. So I might actually one day try them. Yeah, exactly. So Patrick is saying they're nasty things. They really rip you to pieces if they get hold of you. They really do. And you see these little people in the park, these kids holding their little hand out with nuts and stuff to feed the squirrels. And you just think, crikey, these grey squirrels, not only are they carrying probably the worst diseases, just like rats spread diseases, squirrels do too, but they could take that child's hand off. Good night, Garrett. Thank you for stopping in. It was lovely to see you. River Cottage is near Cat. I would love to go there one day. And Robert is saying, no, never heard of him. I know who everybody knows who Mary Berry is, don't they? I think because of Bake Off craziness. And Susie is saying, any rabbit recipe substitute squirrel. That is a very good tip. I don't think I've ever actually eaten a rabbit, so I must, one day I will hopefully have meat rabbits as well, so that's a very good tip. And then Jeff says, we trap squirrels in Canada, they cause lots of property damage. I know that when I went to Toronto, I was kind of enthralled, because in Toronto they have black squirrels, and they're really, really cute. I mean, again, this is kind of the outside view, isn't it? People, if you live with grey squirrels all around you, they become vermin, but people from outside probably think of them as cute. And I thought these black squirrels were very cute. And you know, as a Brit, I think skunks are kind of cute. And I think it's completely gone out of my mind. Raccoons. I think raccoons are totally cute. But if you're living with raccoons around you all the time, you probably do not think they're cute at all. Patrick is saying black squirrels are just a mutation from the grey. And we have plenty of black squirrels in the UK. I did not know that. I've never seen a black squirrel over here. I've only seen those little black squirrels running around Toronto. But now I know they're just a grey mutation, I won't look on them as fondly as before. No, I've never seen one either, Kat. I would love to see one. I wonder where they hang out. I know there is an island somewhere that only has rabbits on it. Really cute rabbits. So I'll have to look that up. Right. It is 11, so I think I'm going to call this little live chat to an end. Jeff has just said, though, that I heard there are parrots in London, and I would love those. They're ring-neck parrots, and they're not now just in London. They are quite all over the southeast. When I lived in South Woodford, so they started off kind of West London, and when I lived in South Woodford, which is East London, I was always waiting for the day when they would arrive. And about 2 years ago, about 4 years ago rather, before I moved to here, and I've been here about 2 years, they just started to come across. And now I'm amazed how they survive the whole year round, because at the end of the day, they're nut eaters. But they do kind of thrive in Epping Forest, where there's a lot of trees that produce nuts. So I guess that's how they get by. But it is quite awesome seeing them around, but I know again in big numbers they do a lot of damage, and they're another thing that if you catch, you're not supposed to let them out again. And Hoosia Deb 444 says she has eaten raccoon, have had raccoon smoked, very lean, slightly beefy flavour. Wow, that's cool. I had never even thought about eating raccoon. That's really interesting. And up in Manchester, wow. Okay, so Patrick has said up in Manchester we are getting them in the rescue frequently now. Is that the black squirrels? I'm assuming that's the black squirrels rather than the parrots. So if the parrots have made their way to Manchester, they are really going crazy. Susie says we have wild peach-faced lovebirds in my neighbourhood. I do love a lovebird. And Patrick is saying no, the parakeets. Wow, I had not realised they had spread that far. I wonder whether they're a separate colony altogether removed from the London, or whether they are originally the London birds that have spread up. You probably know because you're in the business, as it were. But that's amazing if they have spread up all the way from London, because that really means they're kind of just becoming a feature of the British landscape. Which I don't mind in small numbers, but sometimes I've seen on shows, programmes on TV where they've literally had thousands of them roosting in trees. And if you live next to that, crikey, the noise. And the lovebirds nest in cacti. Very cool. Liz says, do you think they have a London accent when they squawk? Yeah, we'll have to listen out and see if they've got a bit of a, core blimey gov accent going on. Pierre is here. Hi, Pierre. I'm from Arizona, and there is a flock of parrots flying around our downtown area from all the pets people released. And that's how things get going, I think. People release these pets or they escape, and when they build up into certain numbers, they form colonies. We've got a colony in the UK here of wallabies down Dorset Way, and again, they were some escapees from the zoo, and they've set up their own little colony, and they're basically wild wallabies now. And we have Robert's just saying his parrots have a redneck accent. I love that. So yeah, there are wallabies, and there are the ongoing myths of the rare, odd, giant cat on the loose in the UK from back in the days when there were no licenses for keeping these dangerous animals. So people would just happily keep a puma, keep a lion, keep a tiger, and then they would eventually let them out. And I know when I was growing up, my granddad was fairly worried for a couple of lambing seasons because there were rumours and myths of a large cat. And when I say large, I don't mean like a large domestic cat. I mean like a proper large like a jaguar puma type thing, going around Peasenhall and Halesworth and that area, taking lambs. And so for 2 years running, I remember my granddad didn't actually lamb outside, he lambed inside because there were real worries about this big cat. Obviously, it was never caught on camera. It was never caught. Nobody knows. But I think it's a bit like Loch Ness. Are they there or are they not? Who knows? And also, eventually they're going to die out anyway, because now we have such strict licensing. You can't just go and get a pet big cat. So eventually they're going to come to their end of their lifespan. But it's kind of cool in some ways. PS is, are there many pests that damage your crops and still feed like squirrels? I mean, we have moles, but I mean, they're nothing like gophers and things like that can really do massive damage. I think one of the main pests agriculturally at the moment is the flea beetle, which is doing vast amounts of damage to crops. Robert is saying Nessie is real, right? Yeah, of course, Nessie is real. But I can't think of... So back to that pest conversation, I can't think of any major pests like squirrels that really cause a lot of kind of obvious stuff. There are bugs and there are weevils and there are little insects and stuff. But in terms of bigger things, we haven't got a vast amount. We're quite lucky, actually, being a little island. Thank you for stopping in. Jorn said vielen Dank. I know what vielen Dank means. I don't know what the rest means. But thank you for stopping in. Huzio is asking any recent fox sightings. So I haven't had any recent fox sighting. I do know the fox has been here because I can smell him because he does spray. And he did raid the compost heap the other day, and it was scattered everywhere. So I know that he went into the compost heap. So he's still around. But I've been a lot more careful. No day sightings. That's what I'm really kind of worried about, possible day attacks. And I've never seen a fox in the day, so fingers crossed. Right, so guys, I'm going to go because it's 11:15. So I'm going to end the live chat. Thank you so much for stopping in. It's been really, really fun tonight. Sorry for my earlier slip. Hello, Mohammed from Morocco. I'm afraid, Mohammed, we are literally just logging off for the night. Robin says the tropical birds would never survive our winters in Canada. Yeah, that's completely true. It's so harsh. Dan had, oh, you had your duck taken by a fox. That's terrible. I just hate these fox attacks. But anyway, good night. Thank you so much for stopping in. To everybody in the UK, have a great night. Everybody else, wherever you are in the world, have a great day. I'll see you next week again for a live stream. Will I? Yes, I will. I should be around. So I'll see you again soon. Thank you again. Bye.